Talents and gifts, challenges and blessings, a balancing scale comparing these things. Deities, tariffs, hail hearty and well, given great health, their families secure, don't squander their wealth.
I have often wondered about the edict that Estolian men must marry by their 31st birthday. On the face of it, it sounds cruel, as if a man's happiness was left to the vagaries of chance. As if deity would punish any man, and the woman, if he was unable to find her until he was 31 or older. However, in my later years, I realized that deity is close to the hearts of all Estolians. We would never be left in a state of celibacy unless that was a choice we made. Deity influences human affairs to bring every man into the orbit of his Kali before it is too late. Later, after this epiphany, I asked Jeremiah and his Kali to research the number of men who lived their lives celibate. I expected the number to be low, but was unprepared for just how few men had been left alone and lonely for their entire lifespan. I was not surprised, however, to discover that in every single instance, it was due to the choices that the man made in his life that left him alone. Nicodemus, Luciano Zakarian, Capitulo 89.
Early on the 19th or 20th day of Cadorin's captivity, a yellow sports car came blazing into the yard, the brakes stirring up a billowing cloud of dust. A woman leapt from the car and came tearing into the house, going straight up to the old man. Her voice was low-pitched, the words spaced for emphasis.
I will not be manipulated.
She slapped him, hard, across the face, her slap punctuating her words. A hand-shaped imprint first in white, and then angry red marked his face.
Brittany?
He said hesitantly.
What?
She interrupted him forcefully.
I know you've been trying to get Zeke to marry me. I won't accept it. Or him.
But you have always wanted him.
How can you be so blind? I do not want Zeke. I have never wanted him.
Well then, who do you want?
He asked before saying.
You do not want Marcus, do you?
I have always wanted Marcus. You know that.
Marcus is no good.
He said dismissively.
You will never have children. Never be a wife to him. Lazarus is the man for you.
No, Papa, this is not true.
She said.
And I've already married Marcus. Even if Zeke begged me to be his wife, I couldn't do it.
Red crept into his face in a flood, hiding the lingering imprint of her slap. He kept shaking his head, but said nothing.
It is true, Papa. I'm not going along with your plan. Even if Zeke wanted me to, I couldn't. I would rather die than live without Marcus.
Her father finally found his voice, his tone beseeching her.
But you have always wanted children, Brittany, always. How can this man fill the void in your soul?
Oh, Papa, have you so little faith in me, in my heart?
She turned to smile briefly at Cadorin before looking again at her father.
I do want children, and I will have children. Marcus may be in a wheelchair, and he may have nerve damage to his legs, but it is to his legs, Papa. His legs.
As her meaning became clear, the color that had flooded his face seconds before receded, leaving only the red handprint on his pale face. He stuttered before groaning and rubbing at his eyes. Suddenly his voice was firm, resolute.
I do not wish you to have such a burden, child. I cannot imagine Marcus wishes it either.
Ignoring his last remark, the volatile bundle of feminine energy turned to Cadorin and said,
I must take her to Zeke. You ruin his life if he does not marry before his 31st birthday.
The older man moved swiftly to block the door, shaking his head.
It is not right. He will never make you happy. You believe he will give you a child, but he cannot.
I'm already pregnant.
She told her father.
But even if I wasn't, how could I ever do anything to cause Marcus pain? You insist Zeke break Marcus's heart to free this woman. Not only that, you insist he does the impossible. I cannot marry Papa, as I'm already married. You condemn us all to unhappiness with this insanity.
The old man stumbled backward and sat hard in one of the chairs. Softening, the young woman dropped to her knees in front of him and took his hands in hers. Looking up at him, her voice was gentle.
If we delay much longer, Zeke will never marry. That will cause Marcus great distress, which will, in turn, bring me great sadness. There is only one man whose soul I could have ever kept, and I keep it quite safe indeed. He possesses my virtue, and I his soul. You must accept this.
She stood and reached for Cadorin's hand. With one last look at her father, she dragged Cadorin out of the house to her car. She returned to the house, and a few minutes later was back with Cadorin's things, including her paintings. After she climbed into the car, she gunned the engine. Gravel spit from under the tires as she roared down the unpaved road. The woman paused for traffic at the crossroads and turned to Cadorin to introduce herself.
My name is Brittany. I am married to Marcus Albans, Zeke's assistant. When father abducted you, Zeke told me what was at stake and asked for my help.
I don't understand any of this.
Cadorin said.
I only just met Ezekiel an hour or so before I was abducted.
I don't think it matters.
Brittany said, grinning briefly towards her before concentrating on her driving again.
Zeke is like Marcus. Both are Estolian. One look is all it takes. Wham! They are in love.
An hour later they were at a private airfield, driving straight up to a helicopter. Brittany braked the sports car and said,
This is your ride. Ronaldo will take you to Zeke, and Zeke will take good care of you.
Cadorin climbed out of the car, while Brittany pulled her suitcases and paintings from the trunk and, without another word, drove swiftly away.
The active deity's timeline. Citizens happily sleep in the sureness and faith of the strayer ends control. The dagger, the tempo, the preordained role of their future king.